Hello and welcome from Davos. I am Siddharth Zarabi and with me Ananya Birla, director of the Aditya Birla Group, who oversees several businesses in the group and has founded many companies as well. Ananya, welcome.
Thank you, Siddharth.
This is Brainstorm 2026 as we call our coverage from here, and I'm wondering, in the time that you've been here, what are the initial few strands of thoughts and developments that you're picking up on the ground here at Davos?
Thank you so much for having me. It's really beautiful. You guys have chosen a fantastic spot and it's literally freezing. So, it's been great. I attended the 7:30 session. I've been super keen about this. A couple of priorities for this year. I think, AI is really transforming things quite rapidly. And we don't quite know where or how the landscape of this may change. Currently, our group, the Aditya Birla Group, stands at a market cap of 115 billion USD as of March 2025. We span across 41 countries. Global trading, for example, is 80 countries, 20 plus sectors. So it's a very interesting time for us to really understand what's the best way to go about global integration. I think human capital has become more important than ever. How does one train the workforce to become more productive so that there is no crunch in the labor force, so that there is no suffering of the middle class in any way, right. So that productivity goes up and there is no redundancy of human capital, right? So there is a little bit of a moral dilemma when it comes to AI, and we want to make sure that we make the most of AI to increase our human efficiency and productivity, and not in any way make anything that we are doing in terms of employment redundant.
That's a good point that you make, because there are fears about the impact of AI on the labor markets, and for a country like India, you're absolutely right. It's a very significant point.
And also because our group is across, like 41% of our operations are outside of India, which means that global integration has become very, very, very important, more important than it probably has ever been. So a huge question that we're asking ourselves is, how do we go about doing that in the best way possible across 20 plus sectors?
Absolutely. And one of the points right here yesterday in our coverage that came out was about not just American companies investing in India. This point that came up was that the group, Aditya Birla Group, is also one of the largest Indian investors in the United States. And in the context of the US wanting more inbound investment, you know what is happening. What's your sense? With such a wide span of businesses and geographical coverage, how significant is the trade-related disruption that businesses are seeing? Also, the fact that we continue to have 50% tariffs on Indian exports to the United States.
Yeah. I think from a global trade point of view, from Aditya Birla Global Trading, we're still very much reliant on WTO. And I know the United States has said something about has offered some reforms, so we'll see where that goes. As long-term investors, for whoever's a long-term investor across the world, I think India is the market to be. We have the highest working population. We are the fastest in terms of CAGR as well. We're the fastest moving. Short-term, of course, right now there's a lot of volatility, and we'll have to wait and watch and see where that goes. But I think India is the place to be. India is the place to invest from a long-term point of view. And it is a very, very, very exciting time for us. As our Prime Minister also mentioned, Viksit Bharat 2047. So whether that comes to companies like Svatantra, where inclusion becomes more important than ever. Again, coming back to AI, some people are going to be able to, given how diverse we are as a country, some people are going to be able to really adapt to this new way of working, and some people are going to struggle with it. So bringing women into the formal banking system absolutely becomes more important than ever. Infrastructure, right? Real estate, which I lead, our CAGR was 92%. So infrastructure is extremely important for us as a country as well. Of course, policies as well. But so there's a lot going on. There are a lot of moving parts. And, when the internet had come in, I was still a child at that time, but going back and reading, I think we haven't even understood the level of disruption or I would say evolution that AI can create. So,
what according to you is the single most, point that struck you about AI, saying that, oh wow, this is going to change everything, that one kind of pivotal moment for you yourself as a user and as a business person?
So a lot of things are getting automated, right? So I think from a softer point, as human beings, our emotional intelligence becomes more important than ever. So how we interact with each other, I think basically EQ becomes super, super, super important, because that's one thing right now that AI does not have that we have as human beings. One thing that really struck me, I was reading, was 85% of companies, institutions around the world are working with AI. 10% are seeing some changes, but only 5% are actually having some sort of impact on their bottom line. Which means that there is some sort of a bottleneck when it comes to AI in institutions around the world. So what is that bottleneck? Have we really understood AI? Do we even know where this is going? When there's uncertainty, it can be fantastic because there can be opportunity, or there can be disaster because we don't really know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So have we prepared ourselves enough to understand what's going to happen? I want to go back to the point of human capital, because there are two really major things when it comes to productivity, which is something that I'm personally working on. One is mobilization of workforce. So how do we train our people, including myself, to understand things like AI better, to improve our skills, adapt rather, right? Things are changing, so how do we change with moving times? And the second thing is destabilization. So whether that comes to things like taxation, which we don't have much control over, or things like, have we linked, or should we change what sort of KPIs our incentives are linked to,
right,
in this changing landscape? So I think these 2 points become extremely important as strategies: mobilization of workforce as a strategy, and destabilization of the workforce as a strategy. So again, it comes back to human beings, and it comes back to how do we use AI to improve our productivity, to use it as a tool to strengthen ourselves rather than to let it take over labor markets.
Absolutely. In fact, just a couple of hours ago, we released this global CEO survey alongside PwC, and one of the points about productivity and how many of the respondents have seen gains. One of the persons that I was speaking to said that for his company, a listed company, 25% productivity gains is what they've seen, but they want much more. So that's a very important point that you made. I want to turn to microfinance that you touched upon. In the past year or more, we've seen a softening of interest rates at the headline level, the repo rate. I wonder if you have any thoughts about this lower interest rate scenario that is now feeding into the banking system, and more importantly, can you tell our viewers about the ground level changes that microfinance is witnessing?
So, the microfinance industry as a whole went through a really hard time, and now we have gotten out of it. Svatantra, I started when I was 17. It's been a fantastic journey. We have seen some really hard black swan events, but I think the most important thing is that as an industry, we have always bounced back. It's also the sort of industry that people rely heavily on for vote banks, so we do get a lot of backlash, unfortunately, but that's something that it's the honest truth, and I'm not afraid to share that. Svatantra is now the second largest. Since inception, we have disbursements of over 65,000 crores. We are the second largest in terms of our AUM. However, if I'm allowed to say so, just factually I can back it up, we are the best performing. Our ROA stands at about 3.1%, whereas the second best is at about 1.3%. Our NPA stand at 1.8%, whereas the second best is at 4.8%. So my team has really been able to handle the market very well. We have, I think, really understood our clients, and we have been able to manage the balance between disbursements and collections. We have this term which I monitor very personally. It's called S1RF. That's the first bucket of the first 30 days when someone doesn't repay, and it's the most important to catch them at that time, to understand what their pain points are. And so I think if you really, I personally really believe in the microfinance industry, and I think that if we really power, as a microfinance industry, we power entrepreneurs who are going to power the Indian economy.
Absolutely. You interact with a lot of startup people.
Yeah.
What is the dominant theme right now? Because that industry has also gone through a high of funding and then a dip in funding, but a lot of the well-run startups are doing very, very well. What's the mood of the startup India nation, if I were to ask you that?
I think we're very hyped up. Someone coming from legacy and also having founded companies, I think legacy and innovation, when come together correctly with the right vision, with the right team, it's a very, very, very powerful combination. I think India is again the place to be when it comes to startups. There's a lot of potential from a B2C consumer lens. To give you an example, whether that's Love, etc., Birla Cosmetics, whether it's Contraband, the perfumes that we've launched, we're doing extremely well. We are competing with international brands. It's about building India-first products, building products in India for the Indian consumer, giving the Indian consumer an Indian option. Contraband is competing with, I would say, a discounted Hugo Boss, maybe even a Hugo Boss now with our new Argent range. And we're doing extremely well. And, all credit goes to the Indian consumer for seeing the quality that we're providing to them, for giving us feedback so that we can understand how we can give them a better product. If I personally, as a founder, as a director of the Aditya Birla Group, can give my Indian consumer a better value for their money, I am very bullish about that. And I think young founders, old founders, age doesn't matter. Founders in general in India, we want to now provide an Indian option. We want to take this Made in India story forward by providing quality that is unmatched, and that is unmatched globally.
Okay.
So that's where we are at. And from a funding point of view, bubbles burst, new bubbles come up. Right now, AI is the big one where valuation is concerned. Let's see, like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty, but it's something that I feel quite positively about. We just have to manage it correctly.
That's a very good point. Can I just quickly do a follow-up on this? In terms of your understanding of the typical Indian consumer, how do they perceive brands? What is the brand perception of a Gen Z Indian, and is that different from elsewhere in the world? Can you share any insights on that?
I think it's amazing. I think Gen Z is amazing because it's really good, because I have to be on my toes, which is really, really good. There's no way you can fool them, which is fantastic. So whether that comes to what goes inside the product, the ingredients of the product, where the product is made, how the product is made, there is complete transparency. And I personally give complete transparency as well. What is good about the product, what is not so good about the product, what we're working on. Please give us your feedback. Founder-led brands are taking the forefront, which I think is fantastic. Contraband, for example, is a very much founder-led brand. I think also now it's very important to find brand ambassadors who genuinely have skin in the game, who genuinely understand your brand and who want to be a part of your brand as well. Because consumers can see it, and I don't want to bring on a brand ambassador who is not interested in what I'm selling.
And who doesn't own the story in that way.
Absolutely. And you see a lot of that happening with the brands that we are looking at as well.
This is a very interesting insight, and I can tell our viewers and you that Business Today is releasing its 34th anniversary issue. right here at Davos tomorrow. And the Gen Z survey that we conducted across India for several thousand respondents has given us some fascinating insights. We'll be sharing that with you as well, and hopefully that will inform the debate more.
I would love that.
As we probably take a couple of more questions, I want to come to real estate and your sense about how much of a runway is left in that sector. And why I'm asking you this is that if we sort of separate commercial and residential, we are seeing one phenomenon after COVID, which is premium, super premium doing very well, but the so-called affordable housing segment seeing a bit of a pain point. And then, of course, input costs. What's your own sense about how much of a leeway is left for real estate growth in the next few quarters and years ahead, perhaps?
You know, Aditya Birla Real Estate, we had a CAGR, like I said, of 92%. Like you said, luxury is booming, affordable is suffering a little bit right now. After COVID, people, I think, value their home a lot more. They want more space, more greenery, you know, this whole work from home as well. Infrastructure has become more important than ever, and I think we're contributing to that in a massive way as well. I am super, super bullish about real estate. I think residential is the place to be. Of course, commercial will continue, but from a working cash flow point of view, from a working capital point of view, I think residential is extremely important. I think commercial is something that, of course, we have as well in our portfolio, but it's a smaller part of our portfolio. I think residential is a larger part of our portfolio, and it will continue to be. There is a little bit of a slump that's happened right now, but I think NCR, for example, we sold out in less than 24 hours. Noida is something that we're extremely bullish about. The Noida market is responding extremely well to us as a brand as well. Of course, Niara, the entire Worli area, we have Tower C that's going to be launching very, very soon. That has amenities that probably India has never seen before, which is something that I'm working very strongly with the team. Again, we want to give India and our people the best of the best, and that's where we're coming from. You know, we've I had a lunch with Mitsubishi the other day. They have partnered with us on a project in Bangalore, Ivara, which is doing very well. They're coming on board for a couple of other projects as well. So they are very bullish on the Indian real estate market as well. I know for a fact that Canada Pension is very bullish about the Indian real estate market as well. And these are very established long-term investors. So that gives me a lot of confidence that not only are they very bullish about the real estate Indian market, but they're also very bullish about partnering with us. You know, I would like to give investors confidence on the market. Small ups and downs will continue happening. Long term, I think, on the right path.
As we wrap this conversation, Ananya, I just want you to leave us with any thoughts about one sector in all that you do and your group does, which you think has the greatest potential for growth that you can share with our viewers at this stage.
I'm going to get into trouble. Look, I look into multiple different businesses. I've also founded multiple different businesses. I think different businesses are going to see different trajectories of growth. I would just like to say that being at the cusp of legacy and innovation and new age, it's a very, very interesting time. I feel very grateful. I am working extremely hard and extremely smart. I think I have a fantastic team. I think as Indians, we are very proud of who we are, and our economy is booming from a long-term point of view. We are at the right place at the right time, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I said, we stand at a market cap of $115 billion, our group, and I only see that rapidly moving forward.
You've given us your time and you've been very generous with that. Ananya, I thank you very much for that. With that, it's a wrap on this conversation from Davos. We'll be back with more interesting conversations like this. Until then, goodbye.